Well, hello. Okay. It didn't say recording, but I'm guessing we're recording again. I think my computer's weird. Welcome everybody to Team Call Monday night here. Jamie Haskin, Diamond Ambassador, and I'm excited to connect with you guys. I titled this call Identifying Misaligned Goals and Gaining Focus for Success. So I know that's kind of all wherever that's going to go. So we're going to dive into what that actually sounds like and what that looks like. We talk about goals a lot, so that's no new thing. And focus is important. We know that, right? But I really want to connect with how that really meets up with misaligned goals and the actual point of removing these things. And even better yet, misaligned goals and removing those, and better yet, getting our goals in line. We want the goals to line up with what we want, right? We want activities to line up with our goals. And each of you guys are here tonight because you have something that you want. You're here for a reason, whether you have defined it yet or not. You maybe started by just wanting to share with some close friends because you believe the products could help them. Maybe you wanted to make the big bucks right away. You need a full-time income option. You want time freedom. You want financial freedom. You don't want to stress about money when your head hits the pillow. So whatever that is, sometimes we naturally start sharing and it turns into this accidental business, but it becomes more than that. You get serious about it and you do move forward with intent. With that, though, sometimes we can lose focus. Life gets in the way. Things get busy, right? Or maybe we become disappointed by not getting the results that we wanted at that time or in the time that we were hoping for, right? So one thing to check for ourselves and for the people we are leading, if you have a team under you, if you do not, you can certainly apply this for the future, but you can apply it to yourself as well. So whether it's for yourself, the people you are leading, are the goals misaligned? Do you have misaligned goals? So what do I mean by that? So it could be you have set a goal before defining what you actually want. Where are you going? Why? What do you want? You define maybe what you want, but you never set goals, specific goals, big goals, small goals, monthly goals. You maybe set goals, but you never define the activities that would help you move the needle toward your goals, toward accomplishing those goals, towards success and towards what you then want, right? Maybe you defined what you wanted and a goal, but your activities are not moving the needle forward. They don't match maybe the intensity of your goal. Things are not lined up. So your goals are either misaligned or maybe you even have some holes in them. And it is vital to you, to your business, to moving forward, to your sanity, to fill in the missing pieces and line them up. So why is this important? One, if things are wishy-washy, your business is going to be wishy-washy. It's going to be cloudy. Things that are not lining up or they're not matching right, it's only going to cause friction, frustration, either for yourself and your goals or as a leader and as you're helping others. So the other layer to this is, are you on the same page with your people? Do you know if your people have their ducks in a row? Are their goals lined up? Do they have misaligned goals? Are you on the same page? There are too many things in this world that are clamoring for our attention, right? We are a busy people. I think everyone on here would probably say they're a busy person, right? We have statistics say there are 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts that run through your head per day. That's over 42 thoughts per minute. So to say that things are vying for your attention would be an understatement, I think. So if you do not define what you want, set your goals and identify activities that are going to move you toward accomplishing those goals, then everything else is going to get your attention. This will never be a priority, right? And I'm not saying this has to be your only priority, but it will never even be one of your priorities if we can't get this straight. So it could be the first thing to drop when life gets busy. So you choose what you get to fill in your calendar, right? What do you put on it first? You're going to naturally put on your priorities first and fill around those. It's not the priorities that are going to get bumped when other options come along, right? When the fun things come along, when the seemingly important things come along. And sometimes the things that scream the loudest seem to get marked as the most important thing. They maybe replace a priority, but that is not always true. And you guys know what that is for your life. Everyone's a little different. Things that pop up in your day, things that kind of demand the most of your attention, but maybe they're not what needs the most of your attention. And your business is something that is a personal accountability. It's something that is not going to necessarily scream the loudest. It might be kind of quiet. And that is just because there's nobody screaming at you, telling you that, and holding your hand that you have to do something and get it done, or you have a deadline by the end and you can't leave the office and go home until you get it done, right? But just because that is the case, it doesn't mean that is what can get bumped. It doesn't mean that it shouldn't be your priority. So maybe the attention also shifts because you're avoiding something that actually needs to get done. Ask me how I know. Been there, done that. Anyone else? You shift that and your priority gets shifted because you're avoiding it. So you find other things to do to fill it. You got a ton of things on your plate, right? So it takes discernment to identify your priorities. It takes discipline to follow through on your priorities. And even further, it takes integrity to keep your priorities. So talking about discernment, only you can decide what your priorities are. What are the most important things to you? Just you decide, right? And then you get to decide what to say yes to and what to say no to with your priorities in mind. Also, just because, for me, my kids and my husband are a priority, right? But that doesn't mean I get to, I don't tell them no when I have a work thing come up, right? Although they come first in a lot of things, they are not my only priority. So my other priorities get time in my day as well. So I pencil in what must have a specific time slot first, and then I can flow my other priorities around there that can be adjustable, right? Discipline to follow through on what you actually decide is a priority, right? You decided this is my priority. Now it's discipline that you actually follow through on that, whether you feel like it or not, whether your day gets busy. Remember to fill your calendar based on your priorities, right? Are you filling everything else around those priorities? If you let something extra in, what are you letting go of? It's something, unless you scheduled in a free slot of time, you're letting go of something. So we all have the same 24 hours in a day, right? Be wise, be disciplined. And then integrity. You get to keep them. You get to keep, what you set there. You get to keep your priorities, keep promises to yourself, do what you're saying, what you say you're going to do. So 3 things: 1, identify what you want; 2, identify your goals; and 3, identify your activity. And the best way to do this is to ask yourself questions. And if you've been working the business already, you get to reflect back on how you've been doing in those things, right? Because you've probably identified a lot of these things already. So look back and reflect on the last 3 months, on the last 6 months, maybe on the past year, and ask yourself questions. Have I worked with purpose? Knowing what I want and where I want to go. And then, knowing what I want, have I set goals along the way that put me on that path? And then while working towards those goals, has the activity lined up with my goals? Has the activity moved the needle forward toward accomplishing those goals? Now, granted, that could be big steps moving forward. That could be little steps. That could be learning and growing along the way. And that can measurements can look very, very different, right? But is your activity matching with that? And what does that look like in the past 3 months, 6 months, in the past year, right? So focusing on number 1, identifying what you want. This connects to your dreams, your vision. And that can be hard for some people. If you haven't allowed yourself to dream big or to think big in a while, that can be a little difficult, but it's really as simple as asking yourself what you want. So what does that look like for you? Is it just not worry about checking the bank account before you go get groceries? Is it being able to purchase plane tickets for your entire family to go on a vacation without the stress of figuring out how you could afford to buy plane tickets for everyone? Is it having an income source to fund other passions, to make home improvements, to buy land, you name it? Freedom to say yes more time, more options in life, fulfillment in helping others and making an impact. It can be a accumulation of a bunch of things, right? What is it that you would be looking for? What are you looking for? Tap into your dreams. What is your dreams? What's your vision? Tap into the vision of your team, of your leader. Where is this team going? What is possible? Where are you going? And what does that mean for you, for the people in your life? And it can start small. That's totally fine. That's normal, actually. But my big advice in that department is to not be afraid to let it grow. Don't hold yourself back from dreaming and thinking big. Don't limit yourself, what you are capable of. Do not base it on the past and on insecurities and on what you told yourself you could or could not do. Do not limit what God is capable of doing through you. So number 2 is to identify your goals. What is your big goal that's going to help you reach what you want, right? And then break it down into smaller bite-sized goals, monthly goals. Do they add up to reaching what you want, your vision? Line them up. And you can't always control the pace. That's not the purpose here. It's letting go of not trying to figure out how it's going to happen, right? Don't worry about the activity yet. You're just letting yourself think big, dream big, and then set those goals. The rest you figure out as you go and you adjust as you go, right? And it's a constant process, a continual process of reassessing as you go through that process, right? So there are going to be times when you reach your goals. There are going to be times when you don't reach your goals, but you cannot let fear of that stop you from setting those goals and still setting big goals and moving forward, because then you're not going to go anywhere if you pull yourself back, right? So it's reassessing when you reach your goals, when you don't reach your goals, setting new ones or adjusting the timeline at times, but your vision does not change. You're just going to be learning and growing along the way. Number 3, identifying your activities. So what activities move the needle forward towards your goals? And if you don't know, ask your upline. Identify them and do them on purpose. Identify your activities and do them on purpose. And you can evaluate them in 2 ways: intentions and actions. So intentions, by definition, is they're a wish or idea that someone means to carry out. Actions, by definition, an action is something that is done, completed, or performed. It is a big miss on our part if we're not identifying, first of all, activities at all, right? If you're just doing things as you can, or when you have time, doing an activity without a goal in mind, or maybe having a goal, but not thinking about the activity needed to reach that goal. So we don't want to miss this step, right? But part of when we identify our activities, a part of that is we're talking about IPA, right? We're talking about our income producing activity, and we determine what that is, right? Decide on what that is, and what do we do to move the needle forward there. Sorry. Where was I? Once it's identified, so you identify your activity. Once it's identified, that becomes your intention, right? So that's your intention to do. Now it only becomes the action when we took for our, for the action that we took for our goals once it's actually completed. So it's our intention at first when we set our activities that we're going to do. And then when it's actually completed, then that is the action that we took for our goals, right? So evaluate, how did you do with your activity last month? Maybe the last 3 months. What about the 3 months before that? How would you rate yourself with intention versus action? And if I can go one level deeper, I would ask, if you've had your intentions and you said you were going to do it, the next question would be, why didn't you do it? Consistency matters. and evaluating the course over 3-month increments at a time and looking at that over time does help with seeing those gaps. So look at it in terms of that. And then another step from there would be evaluating how you can improve your activity, right? What areas need growth? And I'm not going to spend time on this part of it, but where that would consist of would be recruiting, retention, duplication, leadership. What's going great? Something's going great. Awesome. Why is it going great? Evaluate, because that's good to know. Something's not going great. If you could use some improvement, again, why? Why is it not going great? Ask yourself questions. We all need to grow in these areas all the time, right? So look for those areas of growth. Another thing to look at as well, when we talk about identifying activity and moving the needle, it's not just the short-sighted view of our own personal activity and how it affects yourself, although that is important and it's, where we start, right? But also asking yourself, how are you moving the needle forward in your team? How does what you do have an impact on the team? Your bigger team above you, your team below you. What are you doing? How are you visible? How do you engage? How do you add value? For a team to grow, you want to know where and how you are moving that needle forward. And the beauty of what we get to do here is that we get to link arms and do this all together. We get to grow together, right? You're a part of something bigger than just yourself. You're a part of moving that needle forward in this business, in this team, in the people that you bring in. You impact the people around you. You make an impact through what you do. I was listening to someone read a devotion this weekend, and it talked about the moving the focus from inward to outward, right? And the impact it makes on others. So when we're focused inward, we're looking through a lens that might be clouded with a little bit more selfishness, right? What do I want to do? How is this going to benefit me? How does it make me feel? And this can even connect to being worried about what other people might think, or about your fears, fears of putting yourself out there. Lots of things that could hold us back in this business, in life, what we're focusing on, right? But when we move our focus outward, we're able to connect more with others. We're able to raise our impact, right? It empowers us to reach out, to be more visible, to engage more, doing something out of our comfort zones, perhaps, because it's not just about us anymore, right? So raise your impact, you guys. Move that needle forward. Now, when all three are lined up that we were talking about, we define what we want, we set our priorities, we identify those goals, and we can organize. When we do those things, let me slow down because I don't say this clearly. Then we can organize the expenditure of energy towards the things that move the needle forward. And I'm going to repeat that. This is from this phrase here is from Dr. Henry Cloud. He said, when we identify what we want, we then can organize the expenditure of energy toward the things that move the needle forward. So we can sort through all the chaos of life, the busyness, the things demanding our attention. And it's not muddled anymore. It becomes more clear. When a pilot goes out to fly a plane, he or she has a checklist that they have to go through. My husband does it too when he flies Black Hawks, right? They have a long checklist of things that they must do for safety. But before this checklist was in place and a plane crashed, it did not necessarily mean that there was something wrong with the plane, right? So that is now why there is a checklist that a pilot has to go through. The plane was just everything was so complex that the pilots couldn't focus on flying the plane. So that's why they need that checklist. So getting clear in your priorities in life, knowing the activities that drive your business will help minimize that background noise and the chaos. It will help it all seem not so complex. Finally, last point here, pass it down and duplicate. It is incredibly important to remember that it does not stop with just you. Another thing from Dr. Henry Cloud, we were on a call with him a little while ago, and he had shared this about it's a quote from one of our founders. So he didn't specify which one. It was Alec or Taro, of course. And he quoted them and he said, this is what he heard one of them say. It was, quote, I knew there was nothing worth success at the expense of another person. I wanted to build a business that I could only be successful by making other people successful. That is where this company started. That is where this business in Plexus and our founders started. We cannot be successful alone. We aren't supposed to be successful alone. We don't want to be successful alone. Help someone else do what you just did. Then another, and then another. Help your people visualize what they want, set their goals, identify their activity, keep repeating it. Simple. We overcomplicate things sometimes. Ask your people questions like you asked yourself. Questions like, have you worked on purpose? Ask your people, do you know what you want and where you want to go? Ask them, knowing what you want, have you set goals along the way that put you on that path? Ask them, while working towards your goals, have the activities you've done moved the needle forward toward accomplishing your goals? Ask them, how would you rate your activities over the last 3 months, 6 months on intention versus action? Ask them, what can you do to improve in these areas? What can you line up better? So in closing, remember, no one is perfect, guys, right? Everyone has areas to improve on. And the best thing you can do for yourself and for your team is to ask the questions so you can gain clarity and know where to focus and what areas to grow in, right? If we don't know these things, we're not helping ourselves. We're not helping our teams. Sometimes I hear people say that, they don't want to be pushy, or it makes them uneasy to ask certain questions, or they don't want to hurt any feelings, or they're worried about how their people are going to react to certain things. And I want to say a couple things to that. First, check your heart, because if you are doing it for them to help them grow, then your intentions are good, and you will communicate in a way that shows that you care. You can ask questions, and sometimes really tough questions, in a loving way that they will appreciate. They will appreciate you for that. Second, you are not doing your people any justice if you don't speak up, if you see gaps and know that they can improve in certain ways that are going to help them reach their goals. If you do not say anything, you are not helping them. That is not what they are here for. It's not what you are here for. I know you want to help them. You're not helping them if you don't speak up. Remember, we all need to grow. I need to grow. You need to grow. We all need to grow, right? We all need to improve, always. So all you are doing is helping them identify and focus on where they can grow. We all know we need to, right? So you are just helping them with that. And finally, make sure to follow through on all of this for yourself. Right? Receive this from your upline. Ask questions. Look for your areas of growth. Don't assume you're doing everything right. Ask and look for where something could be missing, right? We all carry our own blinders. It's normal, but only you can be willing to ask and hear the feedback to get past your own blinders. We all are in need of growth. Dr. Henry Cloud said, last quote, focus comes from knowing where I want to go, removing the misaligned goals, defining the activities that drive the needle, pruning the rest of them, and having a lot of accountability along the way. That's what I got for your friends. Thank you. Have a fantastic night. Have a great new year into 2023. I cannot wait to see you all crush your goals, work towards them, learn and grow together. So thanks, guys. See ya.